take a moment to reestablish your sense of contact with the floor. So, of course, some of you have done 3 lessons already, some of you have done 2, some of you have done 1, some of you have done none. What's your sense of the cumulative changes? So how are those 2 heels? Let's go back to the heels. How are they lying now? Are they still unequal? Is one heel more on the side? Is one leg more turned out? Is the pelvis still tilted a little bit this way? Maybe it's tilted the other way, maybe not at all. Maybe it's so tiny you can't perceive it, but try. The lower back, is that space a little smaller than usual, a little bigger than usual? How far is it, that space from the pelvis to the point somewhere in the middle back where there's contact again with the floor? Is there a clearer picture? Is it more precise? Just here. And is that point of contact the spine or the ribs or both? And as you go up the rib cage, climb up those ribs like a ladder one by one. Climb up the vertebrae one by one. Does each individual, can you feel individual vertebrae, or are they all just like an amorphous blob? Can you feel them? Imagine that you can. Imagine that you can feel small changes between the degree of contact with each rib in the floor, with each vertebra on the floor. Get a more detailed sense of all of you and all of the floor. Are the shoulder blades in an entirely new place now, after that last lesson this morning? Or did they revert to their habitual, because that new place was so unfamiliar you just couldn't hang on to the sense of it? Is your head more in the middle, or less? Would you please bend the knees, stand the feet on the floor. Please put your hands on your abdomen somewhere. So the right hand somewhere on the right belly, the left hand on the left belly. And notice, when you breathe, is it just your rib cage that expands and deflates, or does your belly expand and deflate? And now put the hands a little bit higher up so that you're touching the lower ribs. Like, yeah, just actually ribs 7, 8, 9, and 10, they're not attached to the sternum, but they have a row of cartilage that joins them. Now the bottom 2 ribs, 11 and 12, they're sort of at the side and they're free. They're sometimes even called false ribs. So let's bypass those for the meantime and put your hands on ribs 10, 9, 8, and 7. And see if you can actually make your fingers kind of slant down so the wrist is a little bit more towards the head and the fingers are a little bit more towards the pelvis, so that, because the ribs slant down, and now can you put the fingers in between, put a finger in between 2 ribs. Between each 2 ribs there's a kind of a valley. Can you feel those valleys? Can you get a finger into one of those valleys and then feel the entire finger, not just the fingertip? If you can't do it, don't worry. Just put the flat fingers so you feel the degree of activity in the ribs as you breathe. Maybe just touching them changes it and you spontaneously breathe more. Maybe you still feel, it's more the abdomen and not so much the rib cage. Maybe you always felt there's not so much abdomen and a lot of ribs. How is it for you? So put your hands a little higher on the rib cage, a little lower on the rib cage, and stay there and feel how the ribs move on an in-breath, how the ribs move on an out-breath. And those of you who were here yesterday, you'll know that the pelvis actually lies on a clock face, and the clock face, 12 o'clock is near the head and 6 o'clock is near the feet. So leave your hands there on the ribs and rock the pelvis a little bit more towards 12. So rock the pelvis away from the feet towards so that your lower back gets closer to the floor. And then, does that change the breathing? So, when the pelvis is rocked towards 12 o'clock, do you breathe more in the abdomen, less in the ribs, or more in the ribs and less in the abdomen? Or does nothing change? Okay, and now rock the pelvis towards 6 o'clock. That brings the lower back further away from the floor. And now, when you breathe, what fills up more with air? The abdomen or the ribs? Don't force it. Try to feel how a simple change in skeletal mechanics spontaneously changes the way your brain manages breathing. And so leave the pelvis there, rocked towards 6 o'clock with the lower back further away from the floor, and take a few breaths. Just observe the breath actually and get a sense of how much is it abdominal, how much is it rib cage, and then again rock the pelvis to 12 o'clock. Get the spine nice and close to the floor, and put your hands on the ribs or put the hands on the abdomen again, and feel which part of you breathes more freely now. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And please, let your legs lie long and let your arms lie by your side. Aren't you glad this lesson sure is less complicated than the one this morning? Any changes in your contact with the floor? Just from this simple little exploration. But does even this much change the sense of, for instance, I mentioned yesterday, some people when they breathe in, it's like the act of breathing pulls the rib cage away from the floor, and then when you let the air out, it lets the rib cage back down to the floor. So the ribs get farther away from the floor in the in-breath, and they approach the floor in the out-breath. Other people breathe in, and their rib cage expands in every direction. So the in-breath presses the ribs into the floor, and the out-breath takes the ribs a little bit away from the floor, or at least less in contact with the floor. How is it for you? Okay. Now please bend the knees, stand the feet shoulder width apart. Put the hands somewhere on the rib cage, and bend the knees, stand the feet. That's it. And I'm dyslexic here, so I have to make sure I don't get it backwards. Rock the pelvis to 6 o'clock, towards the feet, bring the spine, no, that's the other way, John. That's it. The spine gets further away from the floor, and gently press down on your rib cage. So get your hands somewhere near your sternum. Get your hands higher up on the rib cage and more towards the center of yourself. And gently, as if you wanted to deflate your rib cage, that's it. And now breathe abdominally. So consciously breathe into your abdomen with the pelvis rocked to 6 o'clock, and consciously inhibit the rib cage inflating. So you kind of, on purpose, tell the rib cage, nah, don't take any air in. And of course, because your pelvis is rocked to 6 o'clock, that helps the rib cage breathe less, because it naturally, the abdomen expands more. Good. Okay, let that go. Leave the legs standing, but rock the pelvis back to neutral and breathe normally again. And just feel with the hands. Don't compress don't compress the rib cage. And now put the hands on the abdomen. Lower down, the hands lower down on the belly, not on the ribs, but on the part. That tiny little part where there's no ribs. And just a little bit of flesh. Just a tiny, tiny little place on the front of you. And rock, I'm not saying anything. Rock the pelvis to 12 o'clock, bringing the lower back closer to the floor, and hold it there. And let the belly get smaller and press the belly towards the floor with your hand. And now breathe into your rib cage. And consciously try not to expand the belly as you breathe. Hold the belly down. Tell the diaphragm not to go down. Tell the diaphragm not to work. Tell the diaphragm, you stay out of it, and just expand your ribs in order to take in air. Feel your rib cage puffing up like a balloon, but not the abdomen. And rocking the pelvis to 12 o'clock and holding it there helps you inhibit the abdominal breathing. And you feel a different part of your spine is touching the floor now. That's it. This is complicated, I'm sorry. That's it. And let it go and just let the pelvis rock back to neutral. So we've got 3 ways of breathing. The pelvis just in neutral, and the hands anywhere you like, and the hands not inhibiting anything. And you feel there's a certain balance between the abdominal breathing and the rib cage breathing. And you feel that in that scenario, there's a certain contact of parts of the spine with the floor. And you feel now what that contact is and how it changes on the in-breath and the out-breath. And then the second one, you rock the pelvis to 6 o'clock. You bring the lower back away from the floor. You press down on the rib cage to inhibit the rib cage expanding. No, that's your abdomen, John. That's it. Rock the pelvis. That's it. And you push the rib cage down towards the floor and down towards the abdomen, and you expand your belly. So even though your belly is tiny, it gets a little bit bigger. Oh God, everybody's confused. Half of you people still have your hand on the belly. Are you sleeping? The rib cage is not the belly. The belly is not the rib cage. Ribs are hard. You can press them down. Yeah, so remember, we stopped the rib cage from expanding, and that makes a different part of the spine touch the floor. We actually press down on the sternum as if you could compress the sternum towards the back. And only the belly can breathe. And do that several breaths like that, consciously inhibiting the rib cage from participating in the breath. And then put the hands on the belly, lower down, rock the pelvis to the other, rock the pelvis to 12 o'clock, and now stop the belly from expanding and expand the ribs instead. And you see a third part of the spine is in contact with the floor. That's right. And now you, at your own speed, you try these 3. You do a few, you put your hands somewhere. If your hands are on the belly, then the pelvis is rocked towards the head, making the lower back closer to the floor, and you stop the belly from expanding. And then if the hands are on the ribs, then you compress the sternum down towards the floor, and you rock the pelvis to 6 o'clock. And then the lower back is farther away from the floor. The belly naturally protrudes, and you expand the belly when you breathe, and you inhibit the rib cage from expanding, and a completely different part of the spine comes in contact with the floor. And then you let it all go, leave the legs there, but just leave the pelvis in neutral and see, is this breathing different from the breathing you did at the beginning of the lesson? Yeah. Has there been a spontaneous change in the percentage of air going to the lungs, the percentage of air going to the abdomen, the degree to which the ribs expand to draw air in, and the degree to which the diaphragm moves down to draw air in? And is there a change in the contact of your spine and the floor? It's quite profound, isn't it? Let your legs lie long, take a real rest. Notice all the changes in your sense of contact with the floor. Would you please bend the knees, stand the feet on the floor, and would you please cross the right leg over the left leg? That's it. So that the right knee is resting on top of the left knee. No, like over, like all the way over. No, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. The lower leg is not resting on the knee. The upper leg is all the way across. The upper right leg is all the way across the upper left leg. The right knee is to the left of the left knee. The right knee to the left of the left knee. Not on top of it. Further. Yeah, okay. And now, but both legs standing. And now move the legs to the right. Yeah, John, everybody does it. You want to go left. Yeah, but look, if you go to the right, look at a certain point and cross the legs. Cross the right leg over the left leg. That's right. And now the legs go right. Both of them, like that, not so fast. Because the further they go right, the more, oh my gosh, you feel the left leg is carrying the right leg. Understand? The right leg is like a dead weight on top of the left leg. And the further you roll to the side, to the right, the more you feel, oh, it's a dead weight. And the right leg is actually pulling the left leg down towards the floor on the right. And then slowly come back. Slowly come back. That's right. So you see, it's not muscles moving this leg frame to the right. It's just gravity taking the two legs, which are intertwined like that. And the more gravity takes them, the heavier the leg assembly gets, because you feel that right leg is very heavy. And now use the leverage of your body to bring the legs back to the middle. Don't use muscles. Use skeletal leverage. And the right leg is crossed over the left leg. And now move both legs to the right. That's it. Go slowly. Go slowly. And now don't use muscles to get back to the middle. Leverage your body somehow. There. You see, it's so weird. You're using skeletal leverage to move the legs back to the middle. Now, keep doing this, but notice, did your left foot maintain contact with the floor? The sole of your left foot. Did it keep, or did the foot roll onto the inside? Yeah, so how much does the foot roll onto the inside? So how much If the left foot stayed totally on the floor, if the sole of the foot stayed totally on the floor, that would mean the left ankle had to bend, correct? But if the left sole doesn't stay on the floor, but everything goes to the inside, that means the ankle's bending less, correct? So come back, and see if you can do this in a way where the dead weight of the right leg encourages the left ankle to bend more. So the right leg, the weight of the right leg is pulling that left leg to the right, but somehow the bottom of the left foot wants to stay in touch with the floor. Don't fall, go slowly. And try to see, can I get the left foot more in touch with the floor and leave the left foot, the bottom of the foot, in contact with the floor longer, thus encouraging the left ankle to bend sideways. That's right. And then when I come back to the middle, if I keep going and move the legs a little bit to the left, the same thing. Could the ankle bend so that the foot stays on the floor, or does the ankle not bend, and does it pull the sole of the foot off the floor? So use this movement of the legs to explore the flexibility of the ankle. Very peculiar. That's right. Yeah. Please come back to the middle. Let's uncross the legs for a moment, but leave the legs standing. Let's do another version of that breathing thing we did, but this is going to be even simpler. Would you please take in a big breath, take a deep breath and hold your breath and push the air down into your belly and hold it there. And now push that same air up into the chest and hold it there. That's it. So push it down into the belly. Now you've got a football in your belly, like you're pregnant, and the chest is compressed. Now push it up into the chest, expand the chest, compress the belly. So now the football is in your rib cage. And keep going. Move, by the way, breathe. Yeah, change your air every once in a while. If I see anybody turning blue so they match the color of the blanket, we need a little less enthusiasm. Thank you, but we want you to survive the class. There's cake afterwards, don't miss the cake. Yeah, that's right. So all the cake's inside. Yeah, that's right, most of us already had our cake. So we could do a really ribald version of this where you take a deep breath and hold it and then push the air down into the belly to try and push all that cake out, so making room for more. So you see what's going on here is that the diaphragm is doing a big movement, but you're not breathing. So the diaphragm, the normal movement of the diaphragm has been disassociated from breathing. You're just rocking a football from way up in the chest to way down in the belly. And notice as you do that the contact with the spine changes, and that actually the pelvis actually rocks a little bit. So when the football's in the belly, the pelvis is 6 o'clock, and when the football's in the chest, the pelvis is 12 o'clock. So you're teaching your whole spine to be wonderfully flexible and fluid if you do this nicely. Lovely. And now, let that go for a second. Again, cross the right leg over the left. Again, move both legs down towards the right. Explore this ankle thing we were talking about and come down to the right, to the right, to the right.
Oh, to the right.
That to the right. And stay there. And now fill your belly up with a big breath and then hold your breath and rock the football between and look how different this is when you're almost on your side. You feel? The football is going from the chest to the abdomen, to the chest to the abdomen. abdomen, and you find some place where your legs are to the right. If it's too far to the right, like if your left leg is almost on the floor to the right, then it kind of blocks the thing. So maybe not quite so far. I'm not mentioning any names, but the initials are MA. Yeah, so we'll leave the knees at about 45 degrees, yeah? And then fill yourself up with air, hold your breath, and rock that football from the abdomen to the rib cage, to the abdomen to the rib cage, and feel how different it is when your legs are pulling you to the right like that. Oh my goodness, the air goes to a completely different place, and the spine moves in a completely new way. And actually, because the spine is half extended, half rotated, then everything just lets go to let that football go up and down your torso in a completely new way. That's right. Do that a couple more times and then take a rest. Let your legs lie long, let your arms lie by your side, and notice, because we did this thing only on one side, is there a new sense of asymmetry? What changed on the right side that didn't change on the left? Does the pelvis lie tilted in a different direction? Which ribs are more in contact with the floor, or has everything evened out? How does the spine come in contact with the floor now? Is there more detail available to your perception about those vertebrae? Every vertebra has a spinous process. It's a little knobby that sticks out the back of it. And that's the actual thing that's pressing the floor. The vertebra itself doesn't touch the floor at all. It's the spinous processes that touch the floor. So can you actually perceive the bony contact of a single spinous process somewhere there in your back? If not, when we do it the next time, we're going to do the leg thing on the other side, and then we're going to do the rocking while the legs are to the left, and you will see that as you're rocking that football up and down the torso, that one vertebra, then the next, then the next, then the next, in a line, a chain, comes in contact with the floor and gets out of contact with the floor. So you can start to feel the moment when each individual vertebra in turn gets in contact with the floor or comes away from the floor. So would you please now do that? Please bend your knees, stand the feet on the floor, cross the left leg over the right leg. That's it, and begin gently, little by little, to angle the legs to the left. Yeah, because if you go right, you don't get this dead weight effect. But if you go left, now the left leg is a dead weight, helping gravity to help the right leg. See, with gravity in the game, the right leg will twist farther to the left than otherwise. Come back and do it again. And with gravity in the game, with that dead weight of the left leg encouraging that right leg to go left, something lets go in the middle back, something lets go in the lower back. Though that the weight of the left leg can even encourage ribs to let go, the lower left ribs, the lower right ribs, which you see. If the leg frame goes to the left and the left leg is pulling the right leg to the left, then the right ribs expand and the left ribs kind of fold into the floor and they get softer, and then it goes even farther. Not because of muscular effort, because gravity has replaced muscular effort as a far more intelligent means of locomotion, because now the skeletal mechanics can be perceived and felt and utilized. And then you add that ankle thing we were doing. So you just continue to let the left leg, the weight of the left leg, bring the right leg to the left. But just gently explore, could I leave the sole of the right foot in contact with the floor a little longer, encouraging the ankle to bend a little bit. Don't tense the foot. Leave the foot in contact with the floor. If you tense the foot, it's a parasitic contraction that's going to block perception of skeletal mechanics. You have to let things go to let the skeletal mechanics come into play. Wunderbar. That's wonderful. So it's a wonderful, gentle twist. And you feel it's the legs that are going to the left, but all the way up the spine, even up to the neck. You can feel what changes when gravity pulls the left leg and the right leg more to the left or a little less. And when you come back to the middle, don't use muscles to get back to the middle. Use skeletal leverage. Something in the middle body can lever itself to get those legs back, which is really weird. Because then you feel like gravity took your legs to the left and gravity took your legs back to the middle, which seems impossible. And yet you know it's true because you just felt it. It's skeletal leverage gets the legs back, not muscular effort. And again, something gets clearer in the spinal chain. Now let your legs go to the left, leave them there, expand your belly, take a big breath of air, hold it in and start moving that football from the chest into the abdomen and back to the chest, and feel what effect that has on the spine, and feel how different that is when your legs are pulling you to the left and the spine is twisted to the left. And the gentler you go, the more you feel certain vertebrae letting go more than they ever let go, and twisting a little more just because there's movement in there where there used to be just deadness. So the breathing has a totally different effect when the weight of the right leg is pulling, weight of the left leg is pulling the right leg left. So you just feel it's a delicious twist. And then it's called paradoxical breathing or seesaw breathing. The seesaw breathing illuminates that delicious twist in a totally new way. That's beautiful. Great. And take a break every once in a while, but leave your legs crossed. Come back to the middle. Yeah, come back to the middle. Don't leave your legs twisted like that. And observe any changes in your neutral breathing. And now, one more time, with the right leg crossed over the left. No, wait a minute, the left leg crossed over the right leg, sorry. And if you let the legs go to the left, let gravity take them to the left, where does the head want to go really? Now most of you have just been leaving your head in the middle. But if you had to, the head seems to want to go the other way. And look at that. Now, isn't that interesting? You like to put your head the same way as the legs? Try, come back to the middle. And now bring your legs back to the middle. And next time when the legs go left, let your head go right. Gently, gently feel it. Oh my goodness, and something lets go somewhere in the middle back that would not have let go otherwise. There you have it. And now try to see some breathing. That's it. That's it. back to the middle, let your legs lie long, take a rest. What has changed in your contact with the floor? What has changed in your breathing? Do the legs feel heavier or lighter? Is there more space in your torso on the right side or on the left side? Are the shoulders wider or narrower? Is the head more in the middle or more to one side? Is the pelvis tilted differently, or is it flatter than it's ever been? Please bend the knees, stand the feet on the floor, cross the right leg over the left. And this time, again, doing that ankle thing, just feeling what can let go in the ankle. Let the legs go to the right and let the head go to the left. So try not to do it mechanically, like a decision. Okay, no, I'm going to move my head to the left. Try to do it as an organic, smooth choreography between the parts. And notice the difference. Come back. And notice the difference that if your legs go right while the head's going left and the eyes go with the head to look left. Now come back and then find a spot on the ceiling and let the head go left while the legs go right, but look at the ceiling. Look at the ceiling. And the head locks. Can you look at the ceiling and still let the head go completely smooth? It's a little mechanical, but better. And the next time you go down there, the legs to the right, stay there, take a big breath. Head to the left, legs to the right, eyes wherever you like, I don't care. Take a deep breath, hold your breath, and try the seesaw breathing one more time. And notice, with the head to the left, does that again change the chain of command in the spine? Does it change the way in which one vertebra and another come in contact with the floor or get away from the floor? Because there's a new twist to the story. So you try it with the head turned different degrees, like a little bit to the left, or medium to the left, or way over to the left, and see if each of those has a different effect on the seesaw breathing, the paradoxical breathing, the result in the contact of the spine and the ribs and the floor. That's right. That's right. Great. Come back, take a rest. Would you please bend your knees? I think I like this microphone a little too much. Would you please simply rock your pelvis 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and feel how much does this movement go through to the head? Does your head, don't strain anything. Oh, don't strain. It's like when you push a child in a swing, you just push them and then you let them swing. You don't
force the child to swing this way and force the child to swing that way. So be like that with your pelvis. Be nice to your pelvis. Do a gentle swinging kind of non-movement of the pelvis so that and don't lift anything off the floor, so you feel the lower back is farther away from the floor and the lower back is closer to the floor. And the head rocks too. Can you feel that the head rocks the same as the pelvis? But not because you're rocking the head with the neck muscles. No, the whole upper body is completely let go, but because the pelvis is rocking, it pulls on the spine, it pushes on the spine, and it makes the head rock too. So you try to get as passive a feel as possible. How the rocking of the pelvis resonates through the spine, transmits through the spine to the head. Good. Come back to the middle, take a deep breath, hold it, and push the football down and push the football up into the chest and down into the abdomen, and see how different this has become from doing it with the legs bent to one side or the other. And now, when it's straight, it has a whole new feeling, does it not? And actually, let go of your breath, take another breath, and try it a little faster. Bloop, 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 bloop. Even faster. Bloop, 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 bloop. Yeah, that's right. That's right. If you had a good lunch, you can hear the stomach gurgling. Gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. It's because the soup was good. But the soup wasn't mixed quite enough, so now would you please mix the soup a little more by holding your breath and pushing that football up into your chest and down deep into the abdomen, but fast. And we'll stay there, but stop with the paradoxical breathing. Just notice whether your spontaneous normal breathing has changed again, and notice which parts of the spine are in touch with the floor. And take a break, let your legs lie long. So notice all the changes that have taken place since the beginning of the lesson, if you can remember that far back. A sense of calm which comes if you were a little bit agitato internally at the beginning of the lesson. Are you more languido? Are you moderato? Even if you did the paradoxical breathing, prestissimo, are you now even more let go because of that? And imagine, look, this is a very, very different state. It seemed to be more let go. Some of us almost feel like we're just a bag of bones, like this skeleton swimming in a sea of liquid tissue. It's such a delicious feeling and so unfamiliar. I believe this is how babies are, and that's why they learn so quick, because they're neurologically fluid and to a great degree physically fluid, because they have not yet acquired the hundreds of habits which tend to inhibit our free movement. So doing these lessons reestablishes and stimulates neuroplasticity But this feeling of self that you have right now, that really does harken back to the way we were as babies. And that's one of the reasons this work is so wonderful, and one of the reasons this work is so effective, because we really are learning how to learn. We're stimulating the natural learning channels in the entire brain, not just the intellect, but the neuromotor cortex, and all the rest of it. This one, with the breathing, it's even the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems are evened out. They achieve homeostasis. So imagine that you're in this new state and you stand up. Don't stand up, but imagine you're already standing. How would you stand differently? How would you breathe differently as you were standing? Just try to sense it. Don't try to force it to be one way or another way. How would you walk? And how would you breathe while you were walking? How would it be different? How would you sense yourself when it's your skeleton walking you down the street? Like you walk the dog and your skeleton walks you. How would you play your instrument? How would you make a coffee? How would you search around in the bottom of your purse for your keys? If we can transform that, we will really have achieved something. And when you're ready, roll by way of sign and come to stand and see how it actually is. For you. And stand up in the spirit of the lesson, so kind of spiral up, don't come straight up. Find some sort of strange way of coming up where it's, oh, my skeleton stood me up. Oh, how about that? And how do we feel different? Yeah? More alive. Yeah, more open. Yeah. The breathing has changed a great deal in the sternum, especially, yeah? In the belly.
No. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I survived with breathing in.
Ah, you survived with abdominal breathing. Yeah, but, oh Christ, I forgot the last step. Damn, I'm so stupid. You're lying there and I'm thinking, is there anything else? What did I forget? I didn't forget anything. Okay, let them get out. I forgot the best part. Lie back down. I'm sorry. Unroll your mat, Renee. I'm so sorry. Renee thought he's going to get home. I can't. I'm sorry. I really... Wow, I'm so stupid. It's the pièce de résistance. It's the best part. I already told you about it. Yeah. Brigitte already knows. Lie down. Bend your knees. Stand your feet on the floor. Okay, let's get everybody ready now.
Don't miss the best.
Okay, take a deep breath. Hold the breath. Rock the football between your abdomen and your chest. Okay, and get really good at it and get a nice rhythm going. Okay, so you're really good at that. Everybody's doing it really good. Now you're doing it so good, so let your breath go. Take a couple of normal breaths. The next time, you're going to breathe in, hold your breath, start rocking the football back and forth, and while you're rocking the football, you do a long out breath like this. Rock, 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 rock. While you're going rock, 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 rock. So one long breath for several rocking motions. Good one. It's a long breath. One long breath. I can't. Rock, 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 rock. Okay, so now I'm breathing out. Rock, 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 rock. That's one out breath. And now I'm going to breathe in. Rock, 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 like that. Go slower than I'm saying it, if you can. But just, this is so weird. If you can even do it at all, it's already like a flip-flop for your brain. But do you see what's happening? The diaphragm has been given a job, which is definitely not breathing, because you did it when you're holding your breath. And now, the breathing has been assigned to the rib cage. So it's the ribs that are expanding. And it's the ribs that are deflating. And the ribs, they get a clearer picture of how they're supposed to do that, because they're now forced to do the whole job, because the diaphragm has been assigned another job, which is rocking the football back and forth between your chest and your abdomen. That's the whole idea of this. So that's why I wanted you to do the rocking relatively quickly at the end. Because the quicker you get really good at it. And then you add a slow breath. And at first, one will block the other. But if you keep at it, then maybe you'll figure out how to do a very natural, long out breaths while the rocking is quickly. Anyway, if you don't get it now, you can go home and work on it at home. But if you go home and work on it at home, do all the preparatory steps, because then you'll have a better chance of success. So let your legs lie long and see if this last one, this long out breath, long in breath with relatively quick rocking, has made more changes to the contact of the spine and the floor, the contact of the ribs and the floor, the contact of the shoulder blades and the floor, the contact of the pelvis and the floor, the contact of the legs and the floor. And the head, is your head more or less in the middle? Has the point of contact changed? And again, imagine yourself standing and walking and breathing and playing. And again, when you're ready, roll by way of the side and come to stand. Yeah. You reminded me, John, because you said this thing. And then I remember, oh crap, I was supposed to do that. So thank you for the reminder.
You're welcome.
And did something change with this last thing?
Yeah.
It changes something even more, right?
Yeah.
Something tickling also.
Tickling?
Yeah.
Tingling?
Yeah, tickling.
Tickling?
More from, yeah, something inside.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Any other impressions, observations, experiences, questions, complaints? You feel very heavy. Rooted. Rooted into the earth. Welcome to your skeleton. You are now connected to the floor the same way Dennis was connected to the piano. You get it? Yeah, and your percussion, you're going to have a richer, deeper drum sound, like that, because of this connection. Yeah. Great. Anybody else?
My view is my view.
Your sight, your actual vision. Inga's vision is clearer?
No, not spring, no, dream.
Three-dimensional?
Yeah, dreaming, yeah.
Dreamy?
Dream, not very clear.
I'm sorry, I can't see.
Misty.
I can't hear.
Misty. misty eyes.
Misty eye.
Yeah.
Misty eye. Wow, it's like a David Hamilton photograph. That's the first time I've ever heard that as a result of a falling twice lesson. Oh, my life has been airbrushed. So it's the vision is softer, you want to say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
happens.
That's so interesting because some people say the vision gets more acute, like, oh, it's so clear, but we got this kind of soft.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who else? Please. Yes. You think you're taller or smaller? Taller. You are. Yeah. We're lucky that we're in a tall building. You wouldn't fit. Pardon me? Mm-hmm.
You get 10 feet tall like that.
Yeah. Floor.
I felt, in general, but also today, I felt that my left leg could not relax.
Yeah.
Well,
Left leg could not relax well.
but now it's happy, just as my right leg is. So I can finally stand on both legs.
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
Wow.
So how does this?
Well, we didn't talk about the hip joints, but of course this moving the legs to the side like this, the hip joints let go. The hip joints let go a great deal because normally the hips kind of hold the legs in place, but when they're crossed like that, they're held in place by themselves. The skeletal structure holds, it's like a leg frame. The hips don't need to do anything because the legs are a frame just by their skeletal arrangement. They're skeletally interlaced, so the hips just let go. And the pelvis goes this way, and then the hips let go because as you breathe abdominally, rib cage, abdomen, rib cage, then the pelvis is rocking 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. But every time the pelvis rocks 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, the hip joints must let go to allow the pelvis to move. If the hips were locked, the pelvis could not rock. So there's this tremendous freeing of the hip joint, all done inadvertently.
And I thought it would be also my foot, but it's
Yeah. There's all these indirect, devious methods of achieving change within the system. Learning how to learn.
I could feel my muscles at the small muscle.
Yes.
It's like you said, it feels like I've been in a muscle jet.
Yeah. Muscles getting softer and softer.
I felt like floating.
You felt you were floating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I don't know why.
But no, it's because the nervous system is resetting. And like some people, they feel like they're melting into the floor, but you felt you were floating.
Like that.
It's both of those, they seem to be totally contradictory, but both of them, it's a resetting of the system. It's a re-experiencing of yourself from the true neutral. Now, the neutral point is the point where the greatest amount of potential energy is available. Neutral isn't relaxed. That neutral is poised, ready to go in any direction with lots of energy available to you. So that's your experience of neutral is floating. Somebody else is like tense a lot and they let go and they feel like they just dissolved into the floor. That's their neutral point. It's all relative. Yes?
The body is free.
The body is free. That's right. Because when the brain perceives the skeletal mechanics, the muscles are free. And those skeletal relationships, the skeletal leverages aren't perceived with clarity, and the muscles are in there messing, trying to make it happen. Instead of just let the skeleton do it, and then go along for the ride and enjoy and enhance. But you're doing everything with this awareness of the role of the skeleton. Now you may not be able to feel every bone of your skeleton at this point, but you're feeling more how they move together. the independent parts becoming interdependent and clear in their leavages, and that's that wonderful sense of freedom. It's a freedom that's derived from structure, structural function, not I'm free like a blob. No, I'm a structured freedom. And freedom has constraints. Freedom is not chaotic. Freedom is not anarchic. Walk around. That's great. You're all sensing yourself, and hardly anybody looks like a zombie.
If there was something.
Oh, yeah. You was
I didn't do anything directly with the neck, but did your neck get some help yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that last thing is legs one way and then the other. Cool. Thank you so much for constituting this wonderful group of explorers. It's been a great weekend and a great afternoon.